Thank you for allowing me to share my story today. Thank you for everyone that invited me here. My name is Laura Wilkerson, and my family became a victim of illegal alien crime on November 16, 2010. This was our family's attack by a foreign invader whom is in this country illegally. At best guess, his family are still enjoying the fruits of America at the hands of taxpayers. I don't know this as fact because the United States government does not know as fact. You don't know. My youngest son, Joshua, was a senior in high school and had his whole life ahead of him. He went to school and never returned. As Josh walked up to the doors of the school that morning, Hermilo Morales walked up as well. There's a video that I saw in trial. This is the last picture of Josh alive. This killer asked Josh for a ride home, and in the video you can see Josh shaking his head, yeah. And then Josh went inside the building and turned around and held the door open for Mr. Morales to walk in. He said something to Josh, and Josh went, which we later found out he wasn't going to school. So Josh just closed the door, allowed the door to close, and walks out of the frame, headed to class. Last time I'll ever see my son walk, talk, anything about him. At trial, the killer testified on his behalf and gave exact testimony on how he systematically killed Joshua. And this is from the killer on the witness stand. He first threw a punch in the face so that Joshua's vision was messed up and he could not fight back. He next kneed Joshua in an abdomen so that he would go to the ground. Josh went to the ground as his spleen was sliced in half. The killer was aggravated that it was not over yet. He was a black belt in mixed martial arts and thought he could do this without any blood. He was aggravated it was not over. He said he grew tired of watching bloody bubbles come from Joshua's nose as he was trying to breathe. Next, he took a closet rod and beat Josh over the head again and again until the rod broke in 4 pieces. Joshua was still breathing. Next, he strangled him. He let him go to see if it was over. No, it's not over. So he continued until there were no more bloody bubbles. He must have said it 6 times from the stand. As a mom, I realized that my kid was grasping for air. He waited and he watched him die. He tied Josh's body up, stuffed it in the back seat of our truck, bought gas, dumped Josh in a field, and set his body on fire. The killer went home, took a shower, and went to see a movie, had popcorn and Coke. I testified before the Senate last July in 2015 and told this story. Nothing has been done about it. We can have hearing after hearing after hearing. Until there is action, we're just talking. The 11 million figure that you spoke about a while ago, it just saddens me because that figure was thrown around from the very beginning of Joshua. Well, I know that her child has died, so that's one more. Kate Steinle has died. There were 2 this weekend that died from street racing from an illegal in Houston this weekend, a pastor and his wife, married 30 years. So you need to keep that number. You don't know that number. Nobody knows that number. I've been to the border. I've watched them walk across, and you're not counting them. So that number is from maybe people who are seeking welfare or who are getting benefits from the government. Otherwise, you don't know how many people are here. That number it aggravates me. Because this government has no clue who is here or what their intent is in being here. I see this American government scrambling over themselves to pretend to care about American families, and instead you give away every bit of America to people whom have broken our laws on how to enter this country, then on to break other laws, now to having sanctuary cities, teaching them how to grab a piece of America unlawfully and at the expense of American families. I'm stunned, I'm shocked, I'm saddened that we're even having this discussion. When are you going to act on it? When are you going to do something about it, rather than let's just talk about it and put a video up on your next election on your website as if you're doing something about it? It's time to move. Her kid wouldn't be gone if we had moved last year when I testified before the Senate. Sarah would still be here. You have to enforce the laws. I watched the Sunday morning news this weekend, and over and over and over, follow the rules, and we're talking about the election and some of the ways it went in Colorado. Follow the rules, follow the laws. You know, as this sweet lady who's an immigration attorney, I would think she'd have to follow the laws legally. This has nothing to do with people in this country that came here through the front door. This has everything to do with people who snuck in this country and continue to take from America, including our children. You know, when they mention the bad acts of some, if they took your child, you would think of it totally different. I realize you don't hear this every day, but it happens every day, whether you want to know it or not, and the media doesn't report it. I know it, you know it, everybody in this room knows it. They report what they want to report. And you talked about fear, you know, that illegals are afraid to come out of the shadows. You know, do you want to know what fear is? You know, when somebody reaches in your house and grabs your littlest kid and tortures them, you're afraid of everything for a long time. I could care less about the fear that they put themselves in here. I didn't bring my kid across a border. If I would have told my daughter, I'm going to Mexico, and had a man, you know, he'll bring you over here in a year or 2, I'd be charged with neglect as well as I should be. I did not put my kid in harm's way when he went to school that day. You did. Every one of you is elected by an American. It is time for you to stand in the gap for Americans. I'm so tired of being up here and going over the same thing. You're elected by Americans. Do something. It is your job. Every one of you are in a position to do something that we are not. If you've been in bed with somebody who's giving you too much money and you think the wrong way, get out of the way and let someone get in here that can care about Americans and their families. This is not about love. I do not have any hate. 2 days after Christmas, after he killed Josh, I went and forgave this kid at the jail. Totally forgiven. He's off my mind. It is now, they asked me at the trial, what did I want to give him? And all I could say was, it's not my call to decide his life. It's not. They couldn't believe I said it. The jury, I said, it's the jury's call. I didn't want to be anything like him and hurt another person. It's time to do something. We did not put our kids in jeopardy. We did not decide to traipse them across the desert. There are no minors that came here by themselves. I know it and you know it. There are no minors unless they're 16-year-old guys or girls that come here. The minors can't come here by themselves. I've seen the border. People die every day trying to get here. America's invited them, and you've got to do something. It is just time to do something about this. The thing that you can do is enforce laws. How do you pick and choose a law? I don't understand it. How you pick and choose a law. The laws are here to be enforced by who? By you. And they're not being enforced. And my kids suffered terribly for it. Thanks.